Into a bright classroom, and the air hums with chatter. Desks are arranged in neat rows, posters line the walls, and sunlight slants across a whiteboard. Voices rise and fall in the usual currents of small alliances and shifting attention. Yet there is a stillness around one student that feels different. Quiet, contained, like a held breath. This is the opening moment, a recognizable scene, an everyday interior where something invisible is already at work. Loneliness as a teen doesn't usually look dramatic. It's not sitting alone in the dark. It's quieter than that, a constant background hum. A low ache you learn to hide while you're laughing, scrolling, and showing up. Studies say up to 30% of adolescents feel chronically lonely. That sounds like a statistic, but if you've felt it, you know it's not a number. It's a feeling you carry with you everywhere. The way a teenager scans a room and feels unnoticed. The way an unreturned message lodges like a small stone. In a world wired for constant contact, isolation can be paradoxically private. Seeing that split presence without connection starts the conversation. The classroom crowd forms the first tableau of disconnection. Around the central figure, conversation swirls. Plans for lunch, references to a shared joke, the small rituals that knit peers together. The isolated teen watches. Their gaze travels from face to face, a study in small practice distances. Social exclusion activates brain circuits that also register physical pain. The same region that signals a scraped knee or a burning hand lights up when someone feels rejected. That neural overlap explains why a casual rebuff can sting as sharply as an injury. It is not mere sensitivity, but an embodied response. When the kid at the window feels unseen, their pain is literal in the language of the brain. Evenings can deepen the sense. The phone glows against a dark pillow as feeds scroll in a quiet bedroom. Created images of highlight reels, friends at a party, group selfies, confident posts act like mirrors that distort. Seeing others' polished moments can increase perceived social inadequacy, and brief routine scrolling correlates with feelings of being left out. Social media is not inherently bad, but its architecture encourages comparison. You measure partial, edited glimpses against your own private, messy reality. That way lies a slow accretion of loneliness. Transitions, moving to a new school, shifting into a higher grade, changing social groups are times when the scaffolding of belonging is dismantled. Established networks are delicate and slow to rebuild. A teen entering a new classroom or campus carries the added labor of learning social maps that others already navigate. Without a ready friend group, small slights take on larger meaning. The absence of immediate acceptance becomes a narrative. Maybe I don't fit. Maybe I'm not interesting. Maybe something is wrong with me. Those early interpretations can set a tone for months. Adolescence intensifies the stakes of social dynamics. The teen brain, especially the social-emotional circuitry, is tuned to peer evaluation, a fleeting look, a hesitation to invite someone into a conversation. These are not neutral events. They carry weight, shaping confidence and willingness to engage. The pressure to belong can feel omnipresent. Classes, clubs, sports, informal gatherings. When a teen hesitates to step into a group, the hesitation is not a small thing. It is often the product of countless prior moments where attempts at connection were met with lukewarm interest or outright exclusion. Social anxiety grows from those seeds. Small slights accumulate. A group project where one voice dominates. A lunch table where seats are already claimed. A birthday party invitation that doesn't arrive. Each event chips away at feeling welcomed. The pattern is predictable. Anxious response, withdrawing behavior, fewer opportunities for positive social feedback. Over weeks, withdrawal hardens into habit. The world outside narrows to a few safe routines and private spaces. That narrowing deepens both social and emotional loneliness. Two related but distinct experiences. Social loneliness emerges from lacking a group with shared interests and activities. Emotional loneliness is the absence of close, trusting relationships, someone who sees you beyond the surface. Adolescents can suffer both, a double exposure that compounds distress. Family support helps, but it often cannot substitute for peer connection. Parents can be secure bases, offering comfort and perspective, but the developmental tasks of adolescence center peer bonds and identity formation. A teen may receive warmth at home yet still feel exposed and alone among peers. That divergence highlights why interventions focused only on family dynamics miss a crucial piece. Adolescence demands belonging in the context of peers. Schools, clubs, and community spaces become essential arenas for forming that belonging. The physiological toll is real. Chronic loneliness elevates levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that, when persistently high, undermines sleep, immunity, and mood regulation. A teenager who lies awake, mind racing with imagined slights or what-ifs, wakes to a day already taxed by disrupted rest. Over time, disturbed sleep and elevated stress blend into an increased risk for depression and anxiety. The consequences are not merely psychological. They manifest in bodies that were meant to be resilient, but instead are contending with chronic activation of stress systems. Solitude and isolation must be distinguished. Solitude can be chosen, restful, restorative, a time for reflection and creativity. Isolation is the imposed absence of meaningful connection. A teen reading quietly in a cafe may be enjoying solitude. A teen sitting in a hallway while groups move past may be experiencing isolation. The difference rests on agency and replenishment. Solitude rejuvenates, prolonged isolation depletes. Understanding this distinction helps in designing supports that respect the value of alone time, while preventing the drift into harmful loneliness. There are early signs worth watching. A student who increasingly skips social opportunities, who shrinks in group settings, who collects fewer confidants. These behaviors precede more severe outcomes. Loneliness predicts higher rates of anxiety and depression, and the earlier it is recognized, the more effective the interventions. Journaling, for instance, emerges as a simple tool. Naming feelings reduces their intensity. When a teen writes, "I feel left out," what happens is not just notation, it is a cognitive reframe. The amorphous ache takes on a label and becomes manageable. Reflection is an act of boundary setting. It separates the feeling from the whole self. Academic pressure compounds the burden. When grades and extracurricular demands take up much of a teen's time, the energy available for building relationships shrinks. Overcommitment to achievement can crowd out low-stakes social moments, hallway conversations, informal hangouts that are crucial for forming friends. Comparisons, too, play a role. Comparing grades, popularity, appearance, or social media metrics intensifies perceived exclusion. A teen who measures their worth against curated standards will often find themselves coming up short. That comparative lens twists neutral events into threats to belonging. Chronic loneliness reshapes the brain's reward and emotional regulation systems. Activities that once brought pleasure may feel dull. Social cues can be misread. Neutral expressions interpreted as negative, warmth as conditional. The brain, responding to repeated isolation, learns to expect rejection. That expectation biases behavior. Anticipate being left out, act guarded, receive less warmth in return. It is a closed-loop system that sustains loneliness, even when opportunities for connection exist. Physical health correlates are striking. Research connects loneliness in adolescence to elevated inflammatory markers and cardiovascular risk factors. Those correlations suggest loneliness is not just a mood, but a state with biological consequences. Exercise, nutrition, and sleep help regulate these systems, but without addressing the social root, health gains can be limited. Practitioners increasingly view loneliness as a public health issue. It impinges on mental well-being and bodily systems in ways that ripple into adulthood. Behavioral patterns form a vicious cycle. An invitation is declined. A pattern of absence confirms the teen's expectation of exclusion. Future invitations dwindle. Withdrawal becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Repairing the cycle requires small supported steps that interrupt learned habits. A single positive interaction, one teacher who notices, one peer who offers an inclusive comment, can begin to shift expectations and open pathways back to engagement. Peer rejection feels like a pinnacle of pain. Scientific studies show that experiencing rejection lights up the anterior cingulate cortex, the very brain region that registers physical distress. For adolescents who are already navigating identity and social placement, such neural responses compound the subjective experience. Feeling excluded is therefore not merely an emotional inconvenience. It represents a deep, embodied wound that can shape behavior far into the future. The emotional climax arrives when identity formation itself is strained. Adolescence is the time of asking, "Who am I?" But when belonging is precarious, those questions are harder to answer. Confidence falters, self-concept blurs. A teen who cannot see themselves reflected in their social world struggles to build a coherent sense of self. That makes long-term resilience more fragile. Adults who lacked social roots in adolescence are more likely to carry forward unresolved patterns into relationships and work. Yet there are turning points. Naming loneliness is the first practical step toward change. When a teen writes the word or says it aloud, a shift occurs. The vague unease becomes a target for action. That simple naming reduces the intensity of the feeling, and opens the door to coping strategies, reaching out, exploring structured activities, seeking adult support. Structured social opportunities are particularly effective because they lower the barriers to repeat interaction. Clubs, teams, volunteer groups, collaborative projects, these contexts create natural reasons to interact and shared goals that make initiation easier. The repeated exposure, combined with common purpose, permits relationships to form organically. For teens who have retreated from social life, such scaffolding is not patronizing. It is a practical bridge back. Peer mentoring programs offer another evidence-based avenue. Pairing younger teens with slightly older mentors builds relational continuity and models social skills. Mentors can normalize the awkwardness of adolescence and provide a safe proving ground for trying out conversational moves, humor, and shared interests. Mentoring reduces isolation, supports engagement, and fosters a sense of being seen by someone who was recently in a similar position. Supportive adults, teachers, counselors, coaches, matter profoundly. A consistent adult presence who listens, asks thoughtful questions, and follows up can buffer the effects of peer exclusion. Adults can also help translate institutional opportunities into personal fits, recommending a club that aligns with a teen's interests, inviting them to join a study group, or checking in after a rough social episode. Those small gestures signal that the institution is attentive, that an adult believes in the teen's capacity to belong. Intentional digital connection can complement offline relationships. Rather than passive scrolling, purposeful online interactions. Messaging a classmate about a shared assignment, joining an interest-based group, arranging a video call with a peer can sustain ties and ease logistics. Digital tools are useful when used to enhance real-world connections, not replace them. Teaching teens to use technology with intentionality can reduce harmful comparisons and emphasize reciprocity. Balancing solitude and connection is an ongoing art. A healthy rhythm includes times of quiet for reflection and times of engagement for growth. Encouraging teens to honor both needs helps prevent solitude from tipping into isolation. Simple practices, scheduling a regular club meeting, setting aside phone-free time to be present with friends, or keeping a short nightly journal, support this balance and build resilience. The path forward is incremental. Rebuilding social ties does not happen overnight. It often begins with one invitation accepted, one new activity tried, one adult who notices. Community-level strategies, creating inclusive school climates, designing structured lunchtime activities, supporting peer mentoring, multiply individual efforts. Addressing adolescent loneliness is not about quick fixes. It is about designing environments that normalize connection and lower the threshold for participation. In practical terms, schools can prioritize low-stakes social engagement, project-based learning that pairs different students, clubs with rotating leadership that welcome newcomers, and teacher-facilitated circles that practice listening and inclusion. Counselors can teach social skills explicitly: how to open a conversation, how to follow up after an initial encounter, and how to manage rejection without retreat. Families can model vulnerability, encourage participation, and respect the teen's agency when they need quiet time. Therapeutic interventions also help. Cognitive behavioral approaches can address maladaptive thought patterns, catastrophizing, overgeneralizing rejection, or internalizing blame. Group therapies and social skills workshops provide safe settings to practice connection. For teens with deeper mental health needs, integrated treatment that addresses depression or anxiety alongside social skills can prevent loneliness from anchoring more severe disorders. The narrative ends not with a neat resolution, but with hope grounded in evidence and human possibility. Teenagers walking together on a late afternoon path, small talk blossoming into shared laughter, are the real markers of recovery. Healing loneliness often looks everyday. A seat offered, a message returned, a persistent adult who believes. These are low-key but powerful acts. References and further readings provide the pathway from observation to action. Studies by Qualter and colleagues reveal prevalence and risk factors. Eisenberger documents the neural overlap between lull rejection and physical pain. Twenge and others explore social media's role in comparative distress. Blakemore maps adolescent social brain sensitivity. Weiss distinguishes social and emotional loneliness. Hockley links loneliness to physiological stress. Lieberman shows the benefits of naming feelings. Heinrich and Galoni highlight early mental health trajectories. Walton and Cohen demonstrate the impact of belonging interventions. Valkenburg and Peter offer nuance on digital communication's potential. The last scene is a quiet screen of sources and reflection. Adolescents are not simply weathering a temporary storm. They are building trajectories that shape adult life. Recognizing the hidden weight of loneliness matters because small, sustained acts of inclusion change outcomes. If this video named something you recognize, an ache, a pattern, a worry, consider it an invitation to look for the small, steady openings where connection is possible. Continue exploring the playlist to follow this story into young adulthood, where the challenges and opportunities for belonging shift but remain essential.